Okay, we're back. I wanted to talk about doing fairs and festivals, things like this. Um, we've done a lot of that over the years. We used to do probably about 6 of those a year. Now we only do 2, but they're a lot of fun, and you'll have a lot of fun doing them. And you can make a lot of money. You can make good money with this. Most of the ones we would do, some of them are outside, some of them are inside. Most of them are outside. And you'll find a lot more outside, I should say. A lot of towns have Oktoberfest, 4th of July, things like this. Maybe there's a carnival there. And you would be a vendor at one of these fairs. Depending on the size of the fair, if it's a 2-day fair, or if it's a 3-day or 4-day fair, maybe it's just a 1-day event. The more the time that's into this, how long they are, the more cost it's going to be. The higher the price is going to be for you to be a vendor there. So if it's a 1-day fair, you might pay $50, $100, probably about $50, $70, maybe something like that. Usually those are smaller fairs. If it's a big fair and it's going to be there for 3-4 days, you'll probably pay anywhere from $400 to $500 to be there. And so if you see a carnival at this place, you know there's going to be a lot of people there. Maybe they have a big food court on the other end of the Midway, and sound stage, beer gardens, things like this. It's going to bring in a lot of people. So you pay about $400, $500 there for that type of affair. These fairs usually go from something like a Friday to a Sunday, let's say, 12 hours a day, noon to midnight. So say it's a 3-day fair, noon to midnight. You figure you pay $400, $500, about $450. You're going to need certain equipment. Well, the way they handle that is, if it's going to be Friday through Sunday, you're going to have to go there on a Thursday, the day before the fair, and you set up your tent and your equipment. And the reason you do this is because the day of the fair, they're not going to allow any vehicles into that area because people are going to be walking in there. So you got to walk everything in from there. So you set up the day before, and then you come back. Then Friday, when you go there, it's already there, and it stays there until Sunday. And then you could carry it out, or then you can bring your car in Sunday night and carry it all, put it all in your vehicle and leave. So, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have whatever you're bringing in there, that you haven't accumulated a bunch of other stuff during the weekend, or during the fair, that now Sunday night comes, you have no room in your car to put all this stuff in there, because you're going to have one car coming back into the fairground. You have to take everything you have there and put it in that car to leave, and you're going to want to make sure you have room in your car to bring everything with you back again. So if you're bringing little things in Saturday and some more stuff on Sunday, well, Sunday night that's all got to go in your vehicle. You want to keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying. If you got a pickup truck or something like that, it's not going to make any difference. I got a Jeep Wrangler, so space is tight, so I have to keep that in mind. You're going to have to buy a gazebo tent, or canopy tent is another name for this type of tent. They're about $100. You can get them at Target, Walmart, Sears, places like that. This is a tent with no walls. It's just a ceiling. And you're going. I suggest you. They come in 3 different sizes. You can get an 8-footer, 8-foot square, 10-foot square, or 12-foot square. Most events now that cities or towns hold, vendor spaces are 10 foot. Now, they're usually pretty loose with that, but if you are in an area that they're really tight with that, and you have a 12-foot tent, you can't put your tent up there. You won't have enough room. But I would suggest buying a 10-foot tent or an 8-foot, but a 10-foot is what I usually get, and that's plenty of room for you. And I've done it with an 8-foot, with Linda and I both reading, plenty of room in there. I go with a 10-foot now because I also have other readers there with me. But if you just want to go you and somebody else, you can go with an 8-foot. You'll have plenty of room. So that's not a problem. At night, I lower the tent down to about as low as it goes, about 4 feet, in case there's a storm overnight. If the tent is all the way up, there's more chance of it bending and getting damaged. So I just lower it down. They're adjustable. If you want, I bring a lot of other things with me. I bring 4 folding tables with me. These are all the same type of table. They're 4.5 feet by length by 2 foot depth. And the way I set up my table, in my book I have more on this straight tarot, how to survive as a tarot reader. I have more about showing some diagrams on how I do layouts for the tent. But I have I put two tables up front, side by side, going across the length of the tent, the front of the tent. Like I said, all these tables are exactly the same. I put 3 folding chairs on the outside and the midway for people to sit down for a reading. And I have 3 folding chairs inside the tent at those tables for readers to sit down. And I usually have 3 readers come. I invite 3 readers to come and read at my booth. Linda and I have the same setup in the back. 2 tables, 2 chairs for clients, and 2 chairs for us. And so people can come in the back to read with us, or they can go up front and get a reading with the readers up there. I like to keep the readers out in front. Whether Linda and I just doing the fair, both of us just sit up in front, and we don't need that much equipment then. But I've seen other psychic booths where the reader is sitting in the back of the tent, in the dark, sort of like private area, and that makes sense. You know, you're doing a reading, but it's a fair, so it's a different type of atmosphere, and a lot of people walking by that tent feel uncomfortable about going in there, into your tent. So I don't want to go in there. I can't see the person reading back. Can't see another. I'm not going to go in there. And I think it's bad for business. So I have 3 readers all in a row up front. And what's nice about that is it gets busy. People walking by, they want to know what's going on at that tent and what's happening over there. Oh, they're getting readings. Oh, okay. And so it's a crowd gatherer. And the busier you are, the more crowd gathers around. That's good for business. So I've seen readers make the mistake of having their readers in the back of the tent. I like them up front. I also get a banner go to vistaprint.com, and you can get a nice vinyl banner, figure 1 foot in height, and 8 foot long, and it just says psychic readings. That's all it says on mine. And I lashed that right on the front of the tent. I have a couple signs around the tent that show the price. All it says is psychic readings, $20, 10 minutes. That's all it says, and that's all I offer. I like to try to tell my readers up front to keep their times consistent, because you'll get crowds getting readings. So you might have 4 women that's there say, "Oh, let's get a reading." They come to your table, and So they're getting a reading with three of the people up in front, and the reader number one over on the left over here, she's going along. In 10 minutes, she stops the reading, but the one in the middle, maybe she's reading her friend for 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Then the first reader thinks she got gypped, and then that's not good. So I try to make sure that my readers keep track of their time. You could buy little timers like egg timers and things like that, where the set it for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes it goes off, and your client knows the reading's over then too. So it helps keep things moving quickly. Another piece of advice I'll give you is number one rule I for myself and everybody else is you don't read anybody until you get paid, because you'll forget if you got paid or not. You have 4 people all want a reading with you. You read the first one, then you read the second one, and as you're reading the third one, you're thinking, did I charge the second person? I forgot now. Well, if you know you don't start a reading until you get paid, you know you got your money. Otherwise, you will forget to collect money from certain readings. You will forget. So you want to, before you start, just say, I need $20 before we start, and they give it to you. That's a good idea. You'll have a lot of fun with this type of a setup. I wouldn't try to do it alone, because you don't want to leave your tent on you don't want to leave it empty. You want somebody there. There's a lot of people there. People will take things off your tables and stuff like this. And I wouldn't put too many fancy things or expensive things on your tables in a situation like this, because it's not that type of an atmosphere. It's not that type of thing. These readings are more for fun and entertainment. You will have some serious readings there with it, but a lot of it is just fun for these people, and that's the main thing to keep in mind too. What's nice about it is if you are accurate with your readings, these are usually annual events. The people that come there live in the area. They go there every year. They get to know you. One of the things they're going to do at the fair is get a reading at your booth. And so I always tell people at these events is that I'm here every year, so you could tell me next year if I was right or wrong on what's coming up. And I would say the more accurate you are, the more business you'll have next year. So they're a lot of fun. The location of your booth, it's good when you're talking to the people that set all this up. They'll ask you what you do, and you tell them you're going to be a psychic booth, and tell them, because you do a lot of talking, to tell them not to put you too close to the sound stage. If there's bands playing somewhere, you don't want to be right near the band, because they're not going to be able to hear you speak. The people that you're doing readings with, it's going to be a problem. It can be kind of loud, and you'll be yelling your reading. You'll have a hoarse throat tomorrow, and it can be kind of noisy. So you want to be a little bit farther away from the band. If 50 yards away from the band is usually pretty good. But I wouldn't be too close to the band. See, and I do 3 readers. There's 5 of us total in that tent. It's a 10-foot square tent. I have 4 folding tables, and I have all the same, and I bring 10 folding chairs with me, and 100-foot long extension cord, a power strip to plug in the end of that extension cord. You need the extension cord to get to the power generators that will be around the area. Get a string of lights to put around your tent, because at night you're going to need light. I suggest keeping the readings, like I say, the same price. This is what we offer. And like I said, we go $20 10 minutes. We used to do $25 for 15 minutes. It got to be too much of a problem making change. It sounds like it would be easy to do, but it does get to be a problem. People are always having to do 20s, and you're looking around for a $5 bill and a 10, and it gets to be, it could be a problem. It was just easier for us to say, instead of $25 for 15-minute readings, let's just go $20 for 10-minute readings, and it worked out fine. If you go to one of these events and they tell you, we already have a psychic booth here, the town won't want two of them. They try not to have two of different things there. They don't want two vendors selling sunglasses or selling purses or anything else. They don't want duplicate vendors. So they'll say, I'm sorry, but we already have a psychic booth here. If they do, I would go to it and see, or ask the person you're talking to, have they been there long? If they say, no, this is the first time they've been here, then you could think, well, maybe they're not going to be here next year. And I would go to it and check it out and see how busy that booth is doing. Like I said, a lot of them don't do well. If they don't have it set up well, they're not going to do much work. They're not going to get much business. Obviously, if you're not making any money, you're not going to come back next year to do it again. And you can get in there and do it differently, and maybe you can make money with it. People in situations that go to these things are out to have a good time, and you'll be busy. You will be. So if you have a Friday to a Sunday fair, and you paid $400, let's say, Friday won't be that busy because people are still working during the day. Friday night, you'll get some business, but usually your money's going to come from Saturday and Sunday. And the main part of that is going to be at night. On all 3 days, you'll be busier from 6 at night to midnight than you will be from noon to 6 at night. So the days are slower, the nights are busy. The later it gets in the night, the busier it'll get. And at 10 o'clock or so, you'll have people waiting in line to get a reading with you. It can get that busy. Again, these are nice things to do. They're fun. And if you see something like, if you see a carnival there at some place, they probably have vendors there too. So if you're driving by, you see something, they got a carnival going over there, check out, see what it is. And there's usually an information booth somewhere on the fairgrounds. And you could ask them, see if you could talk to somebody about, you'll see vendors out there. And you're going to be a vendor. You could talk to somebody and say, well, what's it cost to be a vendor here? Maybe next year I'm going to think about coming here and doing this. And you'll have you'll get some information on it. So just keep in mind, you want to be able to get all your stuff back into the car on Sunday night, and you'll be fine. And have fun with this. And if you like to people watch, this is the perfect place to be, because there's a lot of interesting people out there with this. So fairs, events, if you're doing anything inside, it's basically the same, but you don't have to worry about the equipment, like tents and things like that. But everything else I'm talking about is still the same. If there's two of you, it works out good if you want to leave your area. Don't bring anything fancy with you because things get lost real easy. Outside work, I like the best. If you do work outside anywhere, I take these with me. These are washers. Get them at a hardware store, and I keep a stack of these on my table. I buy 10 of them, they're $1 a piece. These are pretty good size ones. And I use them to put on the cards. So I'm doing a reading, I put these on the cards. This way they won't blow away. I live in Chicago, they call that the Windy City. And if you're a card reader in Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. And so these help that. Now the problem with, the bad thing about that is your cards will get beat up when you do things like that, especially with the washers, that they scratch the cards up. And so your cards are going to get beat up a little bit. If that's an issue with you, you don't want to do this. If you're working outside, though, I would say you're going to get rain on your cards. They're going to go through some things. So, to me, it doesn't bother me if that happens. I look at it as my cards are having fun. They're not just sitting in a box somewhere wrapped in black silk. They're not protected. They're out there. They're seeing stuff. They're doing things, and they're having a good time. So, but you could take a look at my cards, and you could see that they get worn, you know, and that's just what happens to them. So, this deck I've had for probably about 20 years, so that's another reason why they're worn. I also keep them in a denim pocket. That's how I keep my cards. So I put them in here, and this way I can close them up like that, and now they're protected. And they can get thrown around, they can put them anywhere you want, because they're not going to there's nothing going to happen to them. You can make a denim bag like this. Just get an old pair of blue jeans. I have a YouTube about it. Cut out the back pocket, leave the waist up to the waist above it, so it can fold it in as a flap over the inside. And this works out good. So I got a little bit more about this in my book, but I think that about covers it. Get some people that you know working for you that would see what they would like to work with you on your as a vendor. I buy everything. I pay for the booth. I buy all the equipment, the tent to put up the tables and the chairs. Readers I have come work for me. All they come and do is sit down and read. That's all they got to do. But I get 10%. I get half of the reading. So if it's a $20 readings, $10 a piece. The reader gets $10 for that reading, and I get the other 10. So if it's a $400 booth, $20 a reading, you get. So that's going to be 20 readings have to be made before you are making money. And if it's Friday through a Sunday night, you could probably figure on making that money by Friday to Saturday night. You probably have your money by 6 o'clock Saturday night. 20 readings. So you'll have all Saturday night, and Sunday will be all profit. And Saturday night's probably the biggest time of your readings. Saturday night and Sunday nights will be your biggest nights, busiest time. So you probably make that money by after Friday and going into working all day Saturday. By 6 o'clock Saturday night, you'll be close if you're not there already. Depending on the weather and things like this, those are factors too. So I hope you like this, and there'll be some more coming later. Bye.